There's a lot of anecdotal advice around on improving your marriage. But if you want something you can really use that will actually make a difference and reignite your marriage, check out the link in the description below.
The question, is it normal to argue a lot with my husband so early in the marriage? Answer by Mex Govain. Fighting is normal in a relationship. Here is how to do it the right way. After 33 years of marriage, I'm here to tell you my husband and I have had our share of fights. And trust me when I tell you, Terry's been some real doozies, especially in the early part of our marriage. In fact, you'd think we were in preschool based on how we handled our arguments. Try this. This is how I saved my marriage. Pete Manoy Medium. These days I'm proud to say we no longer fight. Yeah, we disagree from time to time and might not even talk to each other for a few hours when we are both feeling particularly stubborn, but the serious fighting days are over. This needs to be a hard and fast rule. Not only are you putting each other in an embarrassing situation, but it's very uncomfortable for the people who witness you fighting. Whether it's around strangers or friends, no one wants to see a couple fight. You'll never be able to solve the issue in that environment anyway, and the awkwardness of it will only escalate the problem. If you can't leave right away, then couch the conversation until you get home. One advantage to this is that it gives you a chance to cool down a bit by the time you readdress the problem. If you have children, they don't need to be witnesses to the heat of the moment between you and your spouse, but sometimes it happens. When my son was 3 years old, he came running over to my husband and I while we were fighting. He made us hold hands and said, "Mommy, Daddy, no more yelling. Only kissing." If Terry's one guaranteed way to stop a fight dead in its tracks, it's that. We picked him up, hugged as a family, and explained sometimes Mommy and Daddy get upset but still love each other. That moment broke the tension enough to allow us to finish what we started in a calm manner while my son went back to playing in his room. Once we were finished, we went to my son, holding hands, and told him everything was fine. We told him to remember that sometimes people fight, but when they love each other a lot, they always find a way to make things good again. When you're angry, your ego tends to take over, and the ego is all about war. Wars don't exist without trying to hurt another person. When you go for their sensitive trigger points, their vulnerable place, you've hit below the belt, and that's very unfair and immature. It's critical to remember, above all else, even in the heat of the moment, this is supposed to be the person you cherish the most in your life and who has put his emotional trust in your hands. Words do hurt and they are not easily forgotten. Sometimes when you're angry about something your husband did or didn't do, you can't wait to get in his face about it. And sometimes he's not even aware that he's about to be on the receiving end of your anger. So if he walks in the door and is suddenly barraged by your anger, things will get out of hand much more quickly. Answer by Sharon Rushworth. Forming, storming, norming and performing. The stages of team formation theory from Bruce Tuckman. I think this applies out of the workplace too. Marriage is a good example. The 4 stages are what a typical couple would go through as they adjust to being together. This quote below from website describes this model with a new relationship. Stages of a relationship. Features. The star online. Forming. The first date. When you want to make a good impression. When both of you are on cloud 9. When you're still finding out more about each other's characters. Compatibility. No conflict. Storming. The shaky first week/month/year when couples start realizing the other half's quirks and weaknesses, and when emotional baggage from previous relationships surface. Norming. Going steady/settling down/engagement/marriage, when couples begin to understand and support each other and develop the willingness to commit to each other. Performing. Starting a family, when values like loyalty, fidelity and trust develop to build a safe and happy home. Read more at Stages of a Relationship. Features. The Star Online. Answer by Carol Johnson Edwards. It's normal to have little niggles even if you live together before marriage, because often getting married makes things too real, grown up and serious, and can cause a kind of panic. However, if you are having big arguments, especially if you didn't live together beforehand, it may be because you didn't discuss the things that were important to each of you and what you expected from each other and from the marriage before the wedding. The arguments could be an indicator of basic incompatibilities between you, or just issues that you need to work out still that you should have earlier or simply didn't think to ask about earlier. It doesn't necessarily mean your marriage is not going to work. It means that the two of you need to learn to talk to each other about your issues rather than fight, otherwise you will never resolve your problems.